Hey everybody, welcome to Cousin Jack Carves. Today we'll have part 3, how to make this snowman. It's a tutorial that kind of walks you through step by step. The end result, right, is right here. So we'll continue to work on this scarf, making sure we get this established. I'll show you how to make some stop cuts, triangle cuts, and so on. And I'm a lefty, just a reminder, if I'm carving upside down, you're right-handed, you're probably carving the other way. It's not a problem. You can do it. It's just the same cuts from a different direction. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and get notifications. We're going to be giving away Snowman number 1 to one of our subscribers free of charge. I'll pay the shipping. Please subscribe. Let's get rolling. All right, so we're ready to continue with this snowman, getting it shaped. You can see we're starting to get that profile, right? You can kind of see where that nose is going to be, the brim of the hat, the top of the scarf, coming along nicely. So let's keep rolling. We're going to work on just shaping that head, getting that to where it should be. Now, you may find that as you go, you're going to have the bottom of that hat brim looking kind of nasty. Don't worry about that. We'll clean it up. We'll make sure it looks nice. So again, using that scoop cut here to go up from the bottom or the top of the nose to the bottom of the hat brim. Getting some separation there. Coming along the side of the nose. Removing some more material. All right, we have to get that nose sticking out. And the way to do that is to remove that material around it. We want to make sure we leave ourselves plenty to work on there. With this nose, it's not really designed to be like a skinny carrot. It's wider at the base of the nose than it is at the pointed part, of course. It doesn't go straight back, it tapers back. So we definitely want to leave ourselves some material to work with for that nose. So right now we're just kind of rounding this shape here. We want him to have a nice rounded look to his face. Work on this side as well. So yeah, when I first started carving, I had an X-Acto set. And it was more than just a knife, right? X-Acto, they make this whole set where you have these interchangeable blades that you kind of screw into your handle. It's got a variety of tools, V-tools, gouges, a variety of different knife profiles that you could use. And that's kind of how I got started. Just kind of working on wood that was found, mostly cedar. If you've never carved with cedar, give it a shot. Yeah, it's enjoyable. You can have some fun with cedar. It can crumble on you a little bit, but overall, it's not a bad wood. It's soft enough for carving. Okay, so I think we've got the top of that head in pretty good shape. We really have a lot of work to do on the bottom just to make that head come down. And like I said, we're going to be bringing these shoulders in some, right? If a snowman had shoulders. So yeah, we'll continue to work on that. And part of that will be bringing in some of this back as well. So let's go there. You can see I'm taking off some of that pencil mark we'll reestablish that. And the way to do that is to make sure we leave the bottom line okay. And yeah, that took away the stop cut that we made along the top edge of the scarf. But you know what? We can redo that. We just really need to get that down some. Again, using that leverage, right, with the knife. And you can see the size of that facet. And this one. You know, that will give your carving a more rustic sort of a look with the larger facets. If that's what you like, if that's what you enjoy, go for it, right? If you like a smoother look, yeah, you can make smaller cuts, smaller facets. It's really all about what you like and what you want it to be. Just continuing to work and narrow that that side profile. Again, we're removing that top edge of the scarf that we penciled in, and yeah, the stop cut we put in. I guess if I was going to go back and do this over, or advise you, if you watch the video before you start carving, probably don't need to spend the time yet to get that top edge set as a stop cut. But penciling that in can help because it helps us to get the bottom edge set, and that'll be a reference point for us as well. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to take off a little bit more here. And along the back. Just taking a look at this now to see where we are. And given where we are, I'm going to go ahead and redraw my pencil line for the top edge of the scarf because I like where we are on the top side now. Let me grab the pencil. Remember, I kept that bottom edge there, and that will just help us with a reference point where we want to pencil in the top of that scarf. Yeah, okay. So now that we have redrawn our pencil line for the top of that scarf, it's safe now for us to take away some of that extra material here that's below that, right, the bottom edge. And we can do that. We have our top edge drawn in, and we'll have that for a reference point. And what we don't want to do, however, is take away any of this material on the front where it drapes down below the knot. So why don't we go ahead and establish that stop cut Remember, we already put a cut in there and angled our blade. So we're just going to cut up to that. Just use the tip of that knife. Come along the side. And one thing that we'll do as well is we'll use a triangle cut. Let me just show that to you. This is something that a lot of carvers use. And it's something you'll want to learn for sure. See that triangle right here? What we want to establish is some depth, right, where the body tucks up underneath that scarf. The way to do that is to get in here, again with the tip of the knife, right down in, and draw that back. Come back on this side with the tip of the knife. This time you see where that blade is angled? It's angled this way, going in like this. So in other words, we've kind of sliced from this side, and take the tip of that knife and come up into the corner to get the triangle removed. And you can see how the depth is established by doing that. Using triangles, you'll find, is going to be an important part of your journey as a carver. Let's go over here to the other side of that scarf. And again, we'll establish that stop cut line, just to keep us from removing material that we don't want to remove. Kind of like a bookmarker. For those of you who have digital books, yeah, bookmarker is an old school thing now, isn't it? Except for digital ones. We're going to make another triangle. See it? It's right here. Get the tip of that knife in there. So we're going to slice this particular angle towards the meat of the triangle, like that. Now on this edge, we're coming at it from this direction. Okay, tip of the knife goes in, and we'll bring it back a little bit. And then we just get in here with the tip of the knife. I'm going to do this one upside down. Come up into the corner. That one's a little more difficult. Always is when you're working upside down. Just rock the knife into this side, pops right out. Okay, now you can really see the depth, can't you? Where that body is kind of tucking up underneath there. So now that we've done that, let's remove some of this wood along these shoulders on the lower edge of that scarf. We're going to keep that pencil mark that we put in for the top. So we have quite a bit of bulk here that we can remove, and we'll reestablish where that scarf, the bottom of the scarf, will be. You can see something right here. You can see how that wood is sort of tearing out. When you see that, when that happens, is very often the grain of the wood and the way that grain is running. If you come back at it from the other direction, see how smooth that is now? So that's a sign when you have that tear out happening, that if you turn it around and come at it from the other direction, you'll have some nice smoother cuts. Another thing that will happen, sometimes you'll get your knife going and you'll feel it grab and start to dig into the wood. That's a sign as well that you need to switch it around, turn it around, carve at it from the other direction. Like that. Okay? This, it's just something that you learn. And you learn it by doing it very often. Or you can go to classes. There are a lot of wood carvers now who are putting classes up on Zoom. So no matter where you are on the planet, as long as you have an internet connection and access to Zoom, you can probably attend some classes with some really great carvers. There's, like I say, a bunch of them out there now we're offering classes. Just working our way around, cutting into where that bottom of the scarf will be. As long as we keep that pencil line along the top, that'll give us a reference, okay? This part over here, it's going to be difficult for me because, again, coming at it from the angle being upside down. Now, this is something that eventually, you get to become more familiar with and more comfortable with. Sometimes the wood will participate and work with you, but there are plenty of times where you run into issues. So you can see we've already trimmed these shoulders quite a bit, and that's looking pretty good. We look at that profile along the back. I think I still want to get more of that slope here. I want the widest, or the part sticking out, to be around here, okay? So I'm just going to take off some of this material. Being careful here not to cut my pencil line off. I mean, the world wouldn't end, right? But if I can avoid it, I'm going to avoid it. I have to say, this wood that I have here from Heineke Lumber is really good basswood. It's the best I've ever used. Honestly is. And I would say, if you've never tried it, give it a shot. Now, Heineke is a little old school for most people. If you go to their website, you'll find out that if you want to place an order, you either have to call or you send an email and you tell them what you want. After you tell them what you want, they box it up and they ship it to you. And then they send you the invoice with the wood. So you haven't paid yet, right? You get this box of wood with the invoice in there, and then you mail them a check. So it's an old school approach, but I'll tell you what, it's a family-run business. They're great with following up on their orders and everything. And their product, this basswood, is excellent. Yeah, okay, so that's looking better already. I like that we have more slope here. Remember that back bump is getting lower and lower all the time, and that's where we want it to be. Right now we're going to do a little bit of work along the bottom of this snowman. Just going to take that knife, angle it right along the bottom here, take some facets off, sort of undercutting to get this effect. You can see how that slopes right at the bottom, okay? That's what we're shooting for. And it's easy to do with that angle. You just work your way all the way around. Again, I'm trying to get some pretty large facets here. You can decide how you want yours to look. This is just a tutorial, and I want to show you how I got the look that I got with the snowman in the example. Now be careful when you get back to the front. Remember, you don't want to cut into that scarf. Now that we're this close to it, I'm just going to turn this around and take a little baby slice, like that. You can already see what that did, right? If I look at the bottom of this now, and look at the pencil marks that I made right at the very beginning, that's pretty symmetrical. It's not exact. And guess what? He doesn't have to be. That's the beauty, right? That's the best part of this project. It's a beginner project in that way. Now that we have kind of tapered that down, we still have some more work to do, but I think we're at a point where we can redraw that pencil line now to establish the bottom of that scarf. Yeah, let's grab that pencil. And just going to follow through. Again, it's about a 1/2 inch from the top of the scarf to the bottom. All right, there we go. Yeah. So now I think it's safe to go ahead and recut those stop cuts, the ones that we already cut earlier. Sorry about that. Little practice with stop cuts, right? No harm done. And again, angling the blade this way to get the top of that scarf. Because we want that head to be sort of tucked in there. Now I've got a little bit of a corner here, going to rock the knife. It is more rounded, right? Since we've been working on this for a little bit. But every once in a while you may still come up to a part where you have a little bit of a corner. And for safety, it's better to just rock that knife a little bit. Okay, let's go back now and make that stop cut along the bottom edge of the scarf. This time we're angling that blade, again, the back of the blade away from the line. Get the tip of the knife in there. Thumb on the piece right here. And follow along the line. If you come to a corner, feel free to rock the knife, disengage, and then start again. And we'll come up to that triangle where we made that cut earlier. All right. So now we're in good shape there. We're just going to come underneath that stop cut that we made at the bottom of the scarf. Cut up to it, right, to get that established. Clean that up a little. And again, you can take the tip of your knife, come up under there, and ride it along. Just come back at it with your blade and see if you can pop it out. Now, like I said earlier, having that awareness of where that tip is something that you sort of develop over time. You know, if it's not easy when you're starting out, don't worry about it, right? You'll learn. So we're getting that stop cut established here, and this is going to give us a good point for the bottom of the scarf. Yeah, you can see there's some fuzzies under there, right? That'll happen. Okay, a little bit more to go. And we'll be all set with the bottom edge of the scarf. So, in addition to just putting the tip of the knife under there and bringing it under like this, you know, if it's easier for you, you can just go along the entire piece and just slice up like that. to where you put your stop cut, especially where you get to where you have to turn it upside down. Nice. All right. We're in good shape. So what we'll be doing, you can see right now that this scarf looks really flat, doesn't it? It's going to be rounded though. If you take a look at Snowman number 1 here, you can see how rounded that scarf is. That's the look that we're going to establish as we move through this. So at this point, let's do some more work on this head to get this tucked under with the stop cut that we made along the leading edge or the top edge of the scarf, okay? We just did this with the bottom of the scarf. And you know, you can do the same thing if you want to. You can just try and put the tip of the knife under there and drag it along. Or you can kind of use this method, right? Just carve up to the stop cut, take it out. I don't know if you can hear it, but the cat is snoring. Yeah. All right, so we're at this point right here. It's difficult because we have this slope. So cutting toward that stop cut, just straight down, is very difficult because think about the grain running, right, vertically right here and trying to cut down into the wood. When you get to that point, if you start cutting downward where you have the grain, it's almost like it's basically end grain is what it's called. It's easier at that point to use the other approach and put the tip of your knife in there and go horizontally along there rather than just trying to cut straight down. There we go. And you can see how it'll want to chip out too. And it's again because of that slope. The good news is we can fix it. Just dragging that tip of the knife along. And we'll come back at it. Take that out. Okay, so now we've got our stop cuts all set for the top and the bottom of the scarf, as well as the side edges of that scarf in the front. So right now we'll just take a minute and we'll cut in this stop cut where one half of this scarf is sort of tucked in under the other. All right? Now for me, this will be sort of upside down. The angle will be the back of the blade away from the stop cut. And it's got a little bit of a curvature to it. So we'll try and get that in here. And then just bring it on up, right under the knot. And what that will do, it will help us to just have this perception anyway, that the piece on this side is tucked in under the other. Now what we also need to do is make a stop cut for the underside of that knot, where these two pieces kind of are tucked under there. So let's go ahead and get that established. Just come across here with the knife. And while we're here, all we'll do is slice up to that real quick. Doesn't have to be a real deep cut. We just want to show that these two pieces hanging down are sort of tucked up underneath that knot. Now you could have your scarf draped over the top of the knot if you wanted to, right? Again, it's yours, and feel free to make it any way you want. Okay. So let's continue to work on shaping this body. I want to get more of this rounded area here. To do that, we're going to get some material off in this direction, heading up towards that scarf, and more material off, heading downward towards that bottom. We're also still kind of working on rounding this thing, right? It takes a while to get a square block of wood to look like something round. And something that a beginner carver or whittler will sometimes do is they'll sort of wind up with a piece that is maybe more square than it should be. And, you know, I'm one of them. That happened with me early on. Didn't spend enough time shaping things. We talked about that a little bit in part one, that shaping of the piece, it may not be as fun as getting into the details, right? But it's so important for the final result to look the way it should look. Just kind of working our way around here, taking some material off, having the body kind of tucked up underneath that scarf. And what this will also do, this is going to give us some more room. What I mean is, we're going to be removing that flatness of the scarf. And the only way to do that is to round it. And to round it, we need to take away the material above it and below it, so we can have some room to sort of round that scarf. I'm back to that spot that's a little difficult for me, right? I have to turn it upside down. Work on the triangle a little bit here. Yep, it's coming along. Let's go back around the bottom some more. We put in some facets earlier. And we'll just come up a little bit higher above the very, very bottom. Take off a little bit of material. Again, just going for some larger facets, the rustic look that Snowman number 1 sort of has. Turn this back this way. Come down. So now you can see we're getting to that point where we have the widest part established right up here, sort of in those hips. And we're getting that bump to where it wants to be right here. So that's looking really good. Going to take off a little piece right here. Got it. Okay. So I think we're getting to a point now where we're just about ready to start detailing some of this stuff, shaping in that scarf, and giving this snowman a face. And before you know it, this guy will be all done. So what I'm going to do, take a quick break, just drop my knife. Remember, folks, Snowman number 1 could be yours. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be giving away Snowman number 1 with this 001 number. I'm going to do a random drawing for all the subscribers to see who will be receiving Snowman number 1. So please share this with your friends and tell everybody. When we come back, what we're going to be doing is really finishing up, getting this scarf sort of rounded, giving this guy a face, and build that hat. All right? So we'll see you next time.